Well, hello and welcome to Trick or Treat. My name is Mike Mayone and I am your host, and we have a packed program for you today. I think you're really going to enjoy this. Shout out to Joe Silkie, who's watching the show. Hello, Joe. Hello, Joe. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, speaking of which, Joe sent me this and I want to share it with you. This um, this, as you may recognize this as a post that goes on Facebook, and this was put on by Leo Menor, who is a top flight mentalist. I must admit, I was not aware of just what a big name he is in the mentalism field. And what I especially like about this, and the reason I share it with you, is because this little promo for his workshop, which I'm sorry you can't join, it's already passed, uses a picture of my books. Those are my that's my celebrity presage, and it's right there. And you know, how thrilling is that? From what I understand, he talked about using that because it's very good for virtual magic. And you have you do you own a celebrity presage? Maybe not. Well, let me tell you that here's how you get one. Here you can get one. It's available at my website. So you can go and you can get there. And I think I might, let's see. Yeah, okay. So, hey, John, by the way, your microphone's coming through and getting picked up on my microphone. So, so he just mums the word back there. That's our guest. We're going to be calling on him soon. In the meantime, we have a regular feature of Trick or Treat. Hey there, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in. Anthony Spano joins the crowd today. And what the first order of business, now that I have hyped my book test, here is our regular feature.
Fact or fake news, fact or fake news, fact or fake news.
That's right, it's time for fact or fake news. And this week's fact or fake news question or statement is this. India's street magic once captivated the world, including Houdini himself. Years before becoming the legendary escapologist, a 19-year-old Harry Houdini entertained visitors at the Chicago World's Fair as a Hindu fakir with a makeup-darkened face and a white robe. Is that fact or fake news? You'll have to wait until the end of the program to find out. Now, talking about Hindus, Hindus have this. They have a belief in their religion that that the things that you do in this life dictate what kind of experience you're going to have in your next life. For example, if you were a stinker in this life, hey, Michael Kirshner, thanks for joining us. If you were a stinker in this life, then in your next life, you may be a toad. Who knows? In any event, the idea here is you want to lead a good life so that you can have a good life in your next life. Now, there is a thing called instant karma. You may have heard John Lennon sing about that.
Instant karma's gonna get you.
Hey, Clifford, thanks for joining us. So as I was saying, there is this thing called instant karma, and we have some instant karma to share with you today. Oh, here's a little bit of instant karma. Yeah, let's jump the turnstile. Ooh, ouch, 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 ouch. Yeah, and how about this one? Okay.
Instant karma's gonna get you.
Yeah, that had to hurt. How about this one? Oh, you shouldn't mess with animals. That's just not right. That's just not right. Ah! Okay. Now, what was this guy thinking? I just don't get this one. This guy, what was he thinking? Oh, ooh, ooh, that hurt. Now, what's this? What's this? Oh, this is just stupid. This is the kind of things I would do. Ah, you dumb pylon, you. I don't know if that's karma. But let's see. What about this one? This one is, oh, what is it, these people? They go by the motorcycle and they have to knock your hat over. Yeah, well, you got your coming up. But they do it on motorcycles. They do it on bikes, too. Look at this kid. Boop. Okay, you got yours, buddy. All right. And how about this one? How about this one? Oh, it's so graceful. What are they saying? God looks after children, drunks, and fools. But this one is my favorite. How about this one? How about this one? Yeah, yeah. Okay, the shovel goes under. Boom! Oh, that had to hurt. Now, what I love about this is the guy who he was meant to hurt is going over. Are you all right, buddy? Are you okay? Boom! Watch the guy who was the victim here, who was supposed to be the victim. Oh, buddy, are you okay? Are you okay? You look like you're in pain. Ah, too funny, too funny. Ah, well, that's instant karma. So hey, you know what? Of course, this is trick or treat, so it's my turn to do a trick for you. And I prepared this last night, so here goes. I want to show you my favorite card. It's this card, the Nine of Hearts. You see it has these holes in each corner. I put them there. Why? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I didn't want the card to get lost in the deck because it's my favorite. Plus, these holes aren't ordinary holes. They're magic holes. Watch, I'll show you what I mean. You can see that the holes are there, right? You see? Right? You can see my finger through the holes. But watch, if I wanted to, I could take this hole and I could just move it right over there. And I could take this hole and move that one right over here. And I could take this one and put it right over there. So now all four of the holes are in one corner. You could see that, yeah? Now here's the cool part. If I just give it a little wave like that, they all go back to their respective corners because that's where they're most comfortable. Sometimes, just for fun, I like to take one and just hold it in my hand. Yeah, let it get warmed up. And then I take this guy and I let him get a little warmed up too. And then I take this one and I let him get a little warmed up too. You can see there's only this one hole is left. All the others are in my hand, warming up. And then they get so excited that all I have to do is touch my hand and they all jump back onto the card. But as I said, that's not their favorite spot to be. So what I do is I give a little shake like that and they all go back to their own corners. Isn't that cool? So that's my favorite card, the Nine of Hearts. And we have a new piece to show you, a new segment of the show, courtesy of a close friend of mine. And here we go. Let's get it started.
Who's the cutie? Who?
Yes, it's time to play Who's the Cutie? And today's cutie is right there. Yes, he's a magician. That's your hint. He's a magician, a well-known magician in magic circles. I gave you two clues. It's a him, and he's a magician. And let's see what else I can tell you. I can tell you that he is not a U.S. citizen. Okay, so those are the clues. Now, if you think you know who that is, type it in the comments, and the very first person to get it right will win a cool trophy. I want to show you this cool trophy. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Does it get any better than that? It's just a virtual trophy, but it's yours if you can name the cutie. So I'll look at the comments and maybe somebody knows, and we'll see if they do. All right. So it is back to, no, it's not Martin Cox. But that's a good guess, Michael. Well, we'll see later. The pictures are courtesy of Martin Cox. So keep naming them and we'll see who is first today. Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining us. That's Michael Boz. Michael Boz, thank you for joining us. So it is time to move on. It is time for us to meet our guest. Now, I'm not going to introduce him. No, why would I introduce him? I'm just a lowly host. I'm going to let some real talented people introduce our guests. And here we go.
John Ferrentino.
Mr. John Ferrentino.
The big enchilada, John Ferrentino.
John Ferrentino!
John Ferrentino.
We got to get him on right now. He's got to rush, folks. Mr. John Ferrentino. Come on.
So there he is, ladies and gentlemen. John Ferrentino. Well, hello, John.
Hey, Mike, that card trick was really cool.
Oh, did you like that? That was pretty cool, wasn't
It
it?
was really cool.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't have anything that good, so good night.
I don't believe that, John. I don't believe that at all. How have you been?
I've been great. I've been really good. I have a radio show that's been keeping me busy. I've been on every morning doing that, Monday through Friday.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been writing a lot, doing a lot of writing for seance stuff, and just, not getting a haircut, obviously. And it's just been good. I just have to interrupt you one thing. You and I worked all weekend so that I wouldn't get calls. I put it on Do Not Disturb. I blocked all the notifications, and I sent out a text this morning to everyone that I know. And when you got that Rolling Stones music, it was my daughter calling me. So I don't know how it came through. So I apologize.
New phones. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Why'd you buy a new phone last week? So you hold up? You're in Florida now? Now you were from Long Island. I remember you used to.
Yeah, I'm from Long Island originally. Once you're a New Yorker, you're always a New Yorker. People go, "Where are you from?" I go, "New York."
New York. Okay.
I've been here 15 years, but 20 years, but I'm still a New Yorker.
Now you're on Merritt Island now.
I live on Merritt Island, which the far end of Merritt Island is NASA. So I have rockets going over my house constantly.
Nice.
We've been very good with the virus. We've only had 19 cases on the island. But last Saturday, they launched 2 astronauts in space, and the sheriff department invited over 200,000 people to our little island to witness the launch. So we're waiting to see what happens.
Well, maybe
Nobody had masks on.
Maybe they all went home.
Yeah, hopefully they left.
They left.
So everyone that lived here, I think, watched it on TV. So,
hey, I want to look back at some of your career, and we do have some pictures.
Ooh.
I want to let's take a look at some pictures. Now, John, this is, you don't even look like yourself at all, John.
That was my first headshot. I had to have a top hat because that's what magicians wear.
Okay.
I think I have a magic wand in my hand.
Oh, is that
to be in 72, I would think.
1972. Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That is quite the picture. But you know what? That's not bad. I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse.
It's bad.
I've seen worse. Now, you sent these pictures to me, and I had to put them in order. I tried to put them in chronological order by hairdo. So this looks like it was the same hairdo.
This is my first professional headshots.
Oh.
And the worst part about it is, if you notice, I'm wearing a medallion around my neck, which was given to me at the Tannins Jubilee.
Very
nice. And it just looked very magic-y.
Yes, it's very magic-y. I like that open shirt collar.
I like the collar. The dove didn't fly away. I could. I was imitating the dove. Well, I do remember this picture when it came, and all the photographer kept saying to me is, look at how amazing the bird looks. Like, yeah, well, I'm in the picture too.
John, I've taken a lot of portraits because, of course, that's what I did for a good part of my life was photography, and I have been taking pictures of magicians, and I have to tell you that I was looking at that bird thinking, hey, that bird looks pretty good. Because it's hard to shoot a dove. You have to get those wings just right.
But you notice I almost have the same haircut now.
I noticed you just moved apart. All right, what else do we have here?
Memories.
Let's look at it some more. Okay, now this is, I recognize that space as Penn Station without a doubt because I worked for
It
the
was
railroad.
it was Penn Station. It was rush hour. And the other magician in the picture is Steve Rodman.
Steve Rodman.
And it was at the bottom of the elevator coming into Penn Station from 34th Street, I believe.
7th Avenue.
And Fifth Avenue. And I did that open sawing in half. And then I was in quotables that week in the New York Times. Patty Lupin said, John Ferrentino, like commuter in half, just save the agony of the commuter. I never said that, but I was in quotables, so I didn't deny it.
Oh, she's much more clever than I realized. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that. Talk about a weird gig.
Yeah. Well, it's so nice
Memories,
to see Steve. I hope to get him on the show. Of course, he hasn't figured out how to connect the camera to his computer yet. So it's going to be a couple down the road.
Magicians, we can figure out every gimmick in the world. We can figure out how technically to do the most of that. But yet, when it comes to like computers, phones, we're lost. We're lost.
I think so. I think that's the truth. We'll get him over here because I really do want to spend some time with him. So we'll get him here eventually. Let's see what else we have.
I think we were the same person. So if you can't get him, I can come back.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Did you guys work together as a team back then?
No, we were friends, and we just I don't know how we got this job. I don't even remember. I just remember like we're working where? Penn Station, yeah, during rush hour. Oh, perfect. Let's go, Now,
do you remember who hired you from the railroad?
I think it was Long Island Railroad, actually.
Oh, they hired you. It was
a promotion for the railroad.
Because I met, I used to work there about that time, and or maybe a little later. And there was a fellow there who was really into magic. He's deceased now. His name was Kevin Cantwell, and I know he was a friend of Steve's. So I was just wondering if you happen to know.
Maybe that's how it came from.
Yeah. So of course, when I look at Penn Station, it doesn't look much different. I hate to say it doesn't look much different.
That's why I didn't have to have an infectious disease doctor there when I was cutting her in half.
Oh, that place, yeah. That's a crazy. Oh, now the curly-haired series of pictures we have.
This is my Peter Frampton time. Okay. This was the Tannins Jubilee. This is kind of interesting. It was 1978, I believe. And it was a Thursday night show. It was me, Jeff McBride, Lance Burton, and Jessica Gabriel.
Wow.
All acts that Tony Spina didn't think were good enough for the weekend. And I had done this at the Tannins camp, and they hired me to do this. So I had never been to a Tannins Jubilee. I didn't know anything about the Tannins Jubilee, but I just heard it was at the time the coolest convention ever. Yeah. And I got up, and this whole act, except for the bottles at the end, was very inside magic. Like, like I would do 52 card repeat. I'd do a thumb tip routine where I'd have a glove and the thumb would come off, and it was all inside magic. So when I went to go out, it killed at the Tannins camp, all magicians. When I went to come out to do the show, there was only 200 magicians there and 1,400 lay people who had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
It was so terrible. And I walked off stage. I walked back to my cabin. How long have I worked ships? I went back to my room, and on the way back, I saw Tom Ogden, and he goes, "I think you should shave." It's like, what? But this is the cool part of the story. I was so new in the business. I mean, I had, I didn't know what I was doing. Jeff would probably think was 16 at the time. And I got back and there was a note under my door to go to this room. And I went to the room and I go, this is Tony Speeder's room. He's going to be firing me, I'm sure. And I went to the room and I rapped on the door and Dick Cavett answered the door.
Oh, wow.
And he said, come on in. And I went in there and Harry Blackstone, Gay Blackstone and him were sitting there. And Harry Blackstone just looked at me with that voice and went, John, I'm just going to tell you, you were hysterical tonight. And Dick Cavett goes, you were great. He goes, they just put you on the wrong night. He goes, I'm going to tell you, 10 or 20 years from now, they're going to discover what you're doing and you're going to be a big hit. And we just want to tell you, sit down, hang out with us. You were wonderful. And it just gave me like all the confidence in the world. Yeah. And then the ironic part was 10 years later, I got to host the Tannen's Jubilee and Dick Cavett was the host. And that's when I was in the middle of doing my big TV stuff. And I walked out on stage and I told the story of how Dick Cavett told me in 10 years, they'll discover who I am. And I go, and now I'm on TV. I'm having the time of my life. And Dick Cavett told me this 10 years ago. And it got an amazing little applause. I walked on stage and Tony Speed walked up to me and goes, I paid you to do magic, not anecdotes. So you never can win.
He was a strange
bird. Really to me,
Yeah. Let's see. Let's move along here to this another curly-haired picture, and this is like, wow, this is Joe Cool there.
I thought I was Doug Henning. Wait, the best part is it's a Chinese jacket, white satin pants, and there's a multicolored rainbow tassel belt, and on the back of the jacket was rainbow that matched the tassel belt. That's all I can say about that picture.
From the same time period, we have this one. And
that was my first comedy shot.
Why do all these old starting pictures of magicians look so similar? Let's see, how many props can I bring out on stage?
The cover of my book, you'll see.
Do we have more props? Can we bring more props into this picture?
Oh gosh, it's so funny.
Oh, and here we go. The comedy.
This was Jean Fondue.
Oh, I like.
And this was a thing that I made. It came from Hankley Lecture, actually. And he had this little description there. I turned it into an act. The whole act was puns.
Oh, that's cute.
And that's chicken cordon bleu. It was a rubber chicken on a blue cord.
Oh, how close. See, that's one of those, you had to be there, right? Look at the picture.
I was supposed to make cocoa van. So if you look on the top, there was a thing of cocoa and a plastic van.
Oh.
And it was a very fun act. It was a big convention act. I did it at all magic conventions.
Oh, did you?
It was really pretty good.
Yeah. And let's see, what else have we got here? What's next? Oh, that's from the same time period.
That's the cover of my book. How many props can you put in one picture? What happened was at the end of the photo shoot, the photographer said, why don't you just take all this crap and put it on top of you and let's take one picture as a joke.
Oh, did he really?
So,
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Yeah, well, as a photographer, I know, and when I remember when we were starting, it was like, these guys would come to my studio and they would bring every single thing they own. And it's like, oh, yeah, let's put this in a picture. Let's put that in a picture. And it's like, oh, geez.
As you know, I did a lot of photography too, and every time I got a model in my studio, they didn't know what she was doing. I'd have to bring out the ladder to pose on.
Well, I like to look at, every now and then I look at some of these photo sites, and there's a beautiful photo site where they do a lot of training and they teach you how to use your camera and all. And so occasionally there is a nude in the picture, and I'm always puzzled why photographers think that they have to give the girl a camera to hold. It's like, why is she holding a camera? She didn't know what to do with her hand. Why are you giving her a camera?
That takes it from nudeness to art.
So here we are at the MGM, and your name is in lights there. What's going on?
I used to be a pretty big Vegas act, believe it or not. I used to work the MGM Grand once every other month. I worked Tropicana the other month. So I'd flip flop back and forth. The billboard was huge. It's just kind of funny the way the picture came out because it says starring Tom. It says Tom Jones in the upper left-hand corner, and it says starring John Ferrentino on the billboard. So I used to headline a comedy club there. That was big room. I mean, it was like 3,000 seats, and we used to sell it out. The ironic part about this picture is, have you noticed the big lion?
Yes.
To the right.
Yeah, I can see the head.
They created that big lion. And then they realized that Asian people will not walk underneath a lion because it's bad luck.
But they're big gamblers.
So after they created that whole thing, they had to rip it all down and just put a little statue of a lion next to it.
Oh, that's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing. If you don't know cultures when you do presentations, the world is getting smaller now. So, you do learn about these little things, bowing people.
Well, you would think
some people won't take
Vegas,
hands.
you'd have a team that would be able to figure that stuff out.
Well, you'd think MGM is big enough. They should know. Yeah, they should have been able to figure that out. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah.
Okay, this looks like a Vegas-y type picture. Is this from the Vegas act?
No, I had a show in Orlando. One of my dreams was to have a big production show. So I had a production show with 5 dancers, and it was a spoof on big production shows. The dancers would come out, they do this kick butt dance number, sexy costumes, doing knee slides and aerials, and then there'd be a big explosion, and I would appear completely burned from head to toe.
Oh, that must have been.
And the dancers would just like roll their eyes and walk off. Like they were disgusted that they had to be part of my show.
Oh.
So on this particular thing, this was a assistant's revenge that I had built. And basically I kept telling her she was the worst assistant in the world and that, go get the big box and we can produce a tiger. Hopefully it'll eat you. And that was before the whole Siegfried Roy thing. So
Yeah.
she would go in there and then I would go, and it's also soundproof. And then she would start banging on the glass, and then I would put the curtain around so you couldn't hear her, and she'd come around the other side. She'd be out. I'd be in there. They would push me off, and the dancers would take over the show. It was really kind of cool show.
Yeah, it does sound fun. How long did that run?
Well, it ran about, we were in rehearsal more than the show ran. Unfortunately, the guy that owned the theater, after we got it up and running and started selling out, he unfortunately was an alcoholic, and he checked into the hotel and drank until he died.
Ooh, ouch.
So, yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Is this from the show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are the 5 dances. Very nice.
Yeah, that was the line before that was, every magician does a rope trick. There's nothing sexy about a rope trick.
Oh, beautiful.
And 5 dancers would come out and do this sexy dance with a rope, and then just all hand me a big pile of rope. And I go, all I wanted was a little piece of rope.
Hello, Elliot. Hey, John. Elliot Hitchcock says hello.
Oh, wow. Oh, LA, man, I love him. We used to have good times in Orlando. Yeah. I heard Joe Silkie's on.
Joe Silkie is on, yeah. Joe Silkie's on. Michael Kirshner's on. Michael Bosniak's on. We have a number of guys tuning in right now. So that's
very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Let's see. Just again that's from the same show. From the same show.
Yeah, that was from the same show. It was a '60s Austin Power thing that went into the twist or something. Yeah. Okay. And we did a head turner that Chalet built. It was very cool. And that's the poster for the show.
Oh, that's the poster for the show. Okay. Now you did.
Yeah, it was called
cruise ships. You said you did cruise ships. How long were you doing cruise ships?
I did cruise ships from 1988 up until the pandemic.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of them too. I did like the SS Norway, 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off for 7 years in a row.
My goodness.
So, yeah. It was good. I mean, I had a pretty.
Did you find it a grind?
What?
Did you find it a grind? I mean, you were away from your family. You were away from.
Well, it's funny. My wife used to tell me that it bothered me more than it bothered my kids because it was the only life my kids really knew.
Uh-huh.
And they arranged it so that I would go mid-cruise to mid-cruise. So I'd be gone 14 days, but I'd get paid for 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So the 2 weeks I was home, I was 24-hour-a-day dad,
Right, sure.
So I got, so it was really good. And my kids turned out really good. So I guess I did okay.
It must have been your wife.
The credit to the ex-wife, I mean, but yeah, no. But, and my daughter used to say, had a friend who her dad used to work in the city. He'd get up at 6 a.m, didn't get home till after she went to bed. And on Saturday, he slept all day. And she used to go, I see my dad more than you see your dad. So,
Or they'd have to do
yeah,
yard
it
work.
bothers you when you're away. It bothers you more than I think. That's all they ever knew,
Yeah, sure. And let's see. Let's move on to the next picture here. We have, what else do we have? Okay. Let's move along to this one. What's that? Oh, that's not. Tell me the story here, because this is just a hysterical picture.
This picture shouldn't be shocking, okay? So I would do this severed hand in my act, and it presented as the most perfect illusion. And this was on a cruise ship, and this passenger came up to me after the cruise ship, and she said, and as soon as I saw that she was missing an arm, I got really weirded out.
Yeah.
It was the first time I actually thought about this is probably wrong. And she came up to me and she said, I absolutely thought that was so funny. And she said, you have to take this picture with me. And I said, are you sure? And she goes, yeah, it'll be the greatest picture ever. And look at her face. I mean, she was just so into it. And she goes, you have to send me a copy. And, this is one of those moments. Hard to use because people think I did it. But no, I mean, it was really kind of a charming story. The woman was great.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't put it on your website.
I wouldn't send that out as a corporate promo.
What else?
Boy.
Okay, and this is your promo shot, which I think is hysterical.
Yeah, that's my promo shot. That's the meat cleaver shot that has just became like a trademark, like the bar stool.
Yeah,
it's just one of my first promo shots from comedy clubs had a meat cleaver in my head. And I did a bunch later on without meat cleavers in my head. And people were like, where's the meat cleaver? So it's just always been a thing. In fact, Joe Silkie at my daughter's christening made her a little rubber meat cleaver.
Oh.
I had a picture of that.
That's great.
And I used it on TV. They go, you had a baby? I go, yeah, here's her picture. It's kind of a cool thing.
That's great. All right, let's see what else we have here. Oh, this is what's going on now in your theatrical life.
Yeah, that's okay. So this is kind of just a quick background on this. So I've done comedy for so long. I mean, I've done comedy for over 40 years. And I used to tell people, even in interviews, if I could do a show and the people would, at the end of the show, I would get a standing ovation, but they wouldn't laugh, I would think I bombed. Because to me, the comedy was more important than the magic. The magic was a vehicle. Lately, the last 4 or 5 years, I did a magic adventure with Joe Silkie at the Battle of Magicians. Mm-hmm. And Max Maven came up to me afterwards and said, how come you're not working the Magic Castle? And like an idiot, I said, well, I worked the Magic Castle 40 years ago, and I love the Magic Castle. In fact, I'm saving up my money so I can afford to work there.
Yeah, they don't pay much.
Max Maven goes, I'm on the board of directors. And I go, no, I didn't know that, so I guess I'll never be there. So he called me the next day and said, hey, I can get you a lot more money, and it'll really be worth your while. Mm-hmm. So I've been very lucky. I've been doing the Magic Castle like twice a year. So working at the Magic Castle, all of a sudden I found this new love of magic again. Like I almost forgot why I got into this.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I'll tell you why, because that's how I was about photography. When I, picked up a 35 millimeter camera when I was in high school, it was the greatest thing. And then I did weddings and bar mitzvahs, and it just ruined it for me. And I just couldn't stand doing photography anymore until they came out with the digital cameras. And it was just like,
I did the same thing.
It was just so beautiful. So the same thing happened to you, but in magic.
Yeah, well, it's not that I don't like doing comedy, but it gave me a love again of why I did magic in the first place. Mm-hmm. Whereas it was just jokes. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So and it was hard for me to come up with new material because when I worked in comedy clubs, if it was too magic-y, they would stop laughing to go, whoa, and I didn't need that. I needed just machine gun jokes, But when I worked at the Magic Castle, I could get those jokes, but they loved the magic. So then I decided that the whole theory behind this seance stuff was I felt like when you see there's so much magic on TV now, on YouTube, some horrible magicians on Facebook and great magicians. But there's so much magic. When people see magic now, they go, well, that's a great trick. People don't go, oh, the guy has magic powers like they did years ago.
Right.
Or if you see an amazing close-up magician who, they don't go, wow, that's great magic. They go, wow, he's really skilled. So Joe Silkie, the ninja of magic, who is just the most amazing friend in the world. When I was on TV, Joe used to help me write. I had to do 21 spots. You run out of material quick. And Joe was there every second of it, pushing me, come on, we can come up with something. So I had a long talk with Joe, and I went with Michael Carbonaro when he was working at he did the Genie Convention with Eugene Berger.
I was there.
And they did Dark Stories.
Uh-huh.
So I got to hang out with Eugene and I got to hang out with Michael. And it just fascinated me, because I know how funny Michael is. So I decided, wouldn't it be cool if I could put together an act where the magic was all mostly original and do a whole thing about how I don't really believe in ghosts. I don't understand why this stuff is happening. So not to claim that I had superpowers or I could contact the dead, but just like, I don't know why this has happened, but I bought this really cool box at this place called the Waverly Sanitarium. It had artifacts in there, which you can see behind you. And
beautiful stuff.
Stuff just started happening, And it's because I guess people know me as a comedian. I got a lot of work at magic conventions. I think I got a lot of people coming to my lecture, just like they're going, I can't believe you're going to be serious for an hour.
Yeah.
And it was a great vehicle for me because I was able to go to a convention. I was able to do my comedy act. I was able to do a lecture on paranormal magic and do a seance.
So you haven't abandoned the comedy magic. That's still a very important part of your.
Oh yeah, it's still a very big thing. But I know now that my whole act is based on audience participation.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I have, in an hour show, I have probably only about 4 or 5 minutes that are solo, And
you're not alone in that way. And I think a lot of guys who are embracing the virtual magic now are trying to address that.
Work for me. I know that won't work for me.
No.
It just won't. I mean, my act feeds off ad libs. Mm-hmm. It feeds off, the audience, and that's just not going to work, So I'm just content to, keep writing, keep trying to make my seance show better. And
John, let me ask you a question. When you started in comedy clubs, did they give you a hard time? The comics give you a hard time because you were a magic guy? I've heard that they do.
This is a true story, and this is how it started. They opened up a comedy club on Long Island called Richard M. Dixon's White House.
I remember.
And it was a guy. Yeah, he was a guy that was a President Nixon impersonator that had a $1 million contract with Smirnoff beer. He had pictures of him sitting in front of a fireplace drinking a martini as Nixon. Uh-huh. So he started this show. I went there the second night that it was open. And I figured, this is good. I'm doing birthday parties. I'm the magic guy, This is going to be terrible. And I went in there, and the guys were amazing. Uh-huh. And I went up to Richie Minervini, and I said, you guys are great. How long have you been doing this? He goes, this is our second night. And I was like, what? And he goes, do you do anything? I go, I do magic. And he goes, then you start next Wednesday. I need a magician in between the thing. So I kind of came in at the ground level. When I first started doing comedy magic, and this is fact, Jeff McBride, there was only 4 of us in the country, 5 of us. There was the amazing Jonathan, there was Nick Lewin, Kozak, Matt King, and those guys. They all came after us.
Right.
And so that's why I got so much TV exposure, because Jonathan and I were like the first comedy-based guys. Like Nick Luna was a comic magician, who was a brilliant comic magician. He was more magic-based.
Yeah, I could see that.
We were the guys that they said, well, and then my manager at the time, I managed Robert Klein and David Brenner and Ray Romano. Mm-hmm. He basically sold me. He said, well, he's not a magician, because it's hard to get a magician on TV back then. He goes, he's a comedian that does magic. So that was like kind of, and he was a great manager. Like he said to me, you do the best linking ring routine of anybody I've ever seen. Got to get rid of it. And I go, why? And he goes, because as soon as you take those out, they know you're a magician.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And he goes, get rid of the magic tables. We're going to work out of a carpet bag. And I was like one of the first guys that worked out of a carpet bag.
Yeah, I remember looking at your carpet bag. It's gorgeous. Oh, I'm still envious. I can't find anything like it. I don't know where you found that. It's just absolutely beautiful.
I found it. It was called the French Luggage Company. I found it in New Orleans, and it was $600 30 years ago.
Goodness.
And
yeah, my budget.
So I didn't have a problem. So I was doing serious magic, and then I would go backstage, and the comics would just go, they go, that was great, and I go, it's nothing you can do for $29.95, and they'd all start laughing. So one night it was really a lousy audience, and everyone was bombing. And Eddie Murphy said to me, man, just go out there and do that act like you do it for us. We'll all sit in the audience and we'll laugh. Mm-hmm. So they were all in the audience, all the comedians. I was going down in flames. I don't even know if anybody in the audience laughed, but they were dying. And I walked off stage and they said, how did that feel? I go, I'll be honest, it's the first night I ever had fun.
Yeah.
And then because I was not really a comedian, every time one of these would get a job, they go, bring the magic guy with us. He's not going to bomb. And, mm-hmm. And so I just became friends with him. I started with Rosie O'Donnell, Eddie Murphy, Kevin James, Ray Romano. We all started in the same club. It's kind of cool.
That was a heyday too for magic clubs.
Yes.
I remember there must have been about 4 or 5 on Long Island at the time.
We had 7 full-time comedy clubs within a 40-mile radius of Long Island.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable. It really, I mean, it's nothing like that now. Yeah. Anyway,
that's, I think we were talking about this the other day during a podcast. I think that's why all the comedians, we did this full time. We didn't have other jobs. So we would all meet backstage at the East Side Comedy Club, which became our clubhouse. So you'd hang out with all the comics till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Whereas now the comics, there aren't a lot of clubs. So they do their little spot and then they go to another club and they do their spot. So there's no hangout. There's not that community like we had, it's a big difference.
Now, John, while I have interested in you, I just really brought you here so that we could talk about this young lady.
My daughter, Lindsay.
Yes, tell us that. I understand she's quite the talent. So be a proud, bragging papa and tell us what's going on.
Oh, geez. She'll be so embarrassed. She's the most humble person in the world.
Well, you're not, so brag.
I know. She doesn't like to talk about it. This is my daughter, Lindsay. My daughter, Lindsay, went on a scholarship to NYU from Florida and then graduated in 3 years. And from there, got her master's from Hunter College. Mm-hmm. She is a playwright. She wrote a play called Ugly Lies the Bone about a female veteran and got it into Roundabout Theater in New York City. Mm-hmm. And because of Roundabout, it became the New York Times Critic Choice Award play. She, from then, got a scholarship to go to Yale. She got an award at Yale for the upcoming playwright. She was recently got the NYU Young Alumni Award. She right now is writing, I think, 2 Broadway plays, just finished the movie, has 3 other movies she's working on. And her show, Ugly Lies the Bone, went to London to the National Theatre for 900 seats. And if you ever want to look it up on YouTube, there's a thing called Making of Ugly Lies the Bone. It was a $750,000 stage production.
Wow.
Where they turned the entire theater into a virtual reality. The storyline is this girl can either go on drugs when she comes back from Afghanistan or go into virtual healing. Uh-huh. And then she wrote another groundbreaking play that ran an extended run in New York called Amy and the Orphan, where the lead in the show was a girl with Down syndrome, and she used a real Down syndrome actress for the lead.
Wow.
And she won all sorts of awards for that, and she's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, she is, and I'm
And I have an
glad I gave
amazing
you the
son too. My son's like the advertising guru.
Oh really?
So he's in charge of people, like office in Austin and one in Boca Raton.
Wow. Well, I know where they got the talent, but they obviously that they are their mother had a lot to do with it too.
Yes.
Knowing you.
Yeah.
Hey, I have heard that you're.
Well, yeah, that's funny because I worked a club recently, and a guy walked up to me and goes, "Ferrentino, are you any relation to the famous playwright?"
Did he?
So now I'm like Lindsay. Now I'm known as Lindsay's dad.
Oh, how cool is that?
That's a true story.
Now,
true story.
I have to tell you that I know that the spiritual thing is a kind of a new thing for you too. But I heard that there's actually you're stepping into a different career too, and I got this crazy piece of tape that I wanted to share with you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Shaboom, shaboom. Ba la 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 la. Shaboom, shaboom. Ba la 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 la. Shaboom. Life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise up above. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, oh, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Every time I look at you, something is on my mind. Anytime you want me to, baby, we be sublime. Oh, life is but a dream. If I could take you up in paradise up above. If you tell me you're the only one that I love, well, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Shaboom, shaboom. Ya la 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 la. Shaboom, shaboom. La 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 la. Shaboom. Shaboom, shaboom. Ya la 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 la. Shaboom, shaboom. Ya la 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 la. Shaboom.
Oh God, that's so funny.
Well, that was
hysterical. I got to get a copy of that. I got to send it to Michael. He'll die. And of course, that was Michael and the Ninja of Magic in there.
Yeah, and the Ninja is the one who put that together. Let's give him some credit. Yeah. Well, he knew you were going to be on the show today, so he said,
"That's so funny, thanks." He just his talents just never cease to amaze me. He really don't.
He's a brilliant guy. It's fun to be his.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So do you have something you want to? Do you have a trick or a treat that you want to share with us?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I have. So basically, I'll just give you a quick rundown. Ever since I was a kid, I would have this dream about being in a room with boxes. And I was working at the Louisville Comedy Club, and the owner said, "I'm going to take you to a place tomorrow called the Waverly Sanatorium." The Waverly Sanatorium was built in 1917 and just hosted 600 dying people of tuberculosis at the time. And the rumor has that in 5 years, 8,000 people died there. Hospital administration says that's a lie. There was only 6,000 people that died there. I'm like, that's so much better. And in the box, all the stuff behind me was in this box. So I went on a quick tour, got down to the basement, and they were auctioning off artifacts. And one of the artifacts was a box. And I realized I was in the room that I've been having my whole life dreams about. And I bought this box, and in the box there was all sorts of things. There was this great diary, all handwritten diary, and it's a story about a nurse that had a little boy named Timmy, and they got to clean out this storage unit, and inside the storage unit they found this old first aid kit, which I'll show you. And they decided that this would be a cool thing. They could keep their most prized possessions in there. Timmy kept his ball, and she kept her glass. And it says in the article, why would you have a glass? And she said that the reason why she had a glass is with that many sick kids, she wasn't about to keep her mouth anywhere near a water fountain. So closed it up, and she said her biggest fear was the fact that when she wasn't around, he would stick his dirty ball into the glass.
Ooh, spooky stuff. Beautiful. Beautiful.
When I got to the Waverly Sanatorium, it was funny. The club owner said, I'm going to drop you off. You go inside. So as I was walking up the stairs to the Waverly, there was two little college girls or high school girls, and they kept going up to the door, and they kept running up and running down. And I go, what's the matter? They go, I know it sounds stupid, mister, but we're afraid to go in there. We heard it's the most haunted place in the world. And I said, well, I'll walk in there with you. That'll make you feel any better. They go, really? So three of us walk in, the door closes behind me, and they go, we feel so stupid now that we were scared to come in here. And I look at them and I go, I would normally be scared to come to places like this when I was alive. And then walked out the door.
You're cruel, John. You're cruel. Hey, John, it's been grand chatting with you, and I'm going to share. You did a wonderful trick for us, and we are going to now share a treat. And
can I show you one last thing before we leave?
Oh, absolutely.
This is something that means a lot to me.
Yep, go ahead.
I got the honor of assisting Jeff McBride teaching at the Magic and Mystery School in October, a seance class. And I was so moved. And Jeff, if anybody's been around him, he's just a vortex of magic. You just can't be helped to be sucked into it, And it's really funny because Jeff's one of the few guys that really respects people that do what he can't do. And he was always somebody it's like, I so respect that you're a comic magician. I could never do that. So at the end of the whole thing, he gave me this book that I've been looking for years. And then he took out a little case and he said, this was Eugene Berger's close-up case. And he said, and I want you to have this. And this is the last candle. You can see it's burnt on the end that Eugene Berger used. And he took out and he handed me the candle and he said, I want you to take this candle and I want you to think about this. And I want you to keep the fire of magic still burning. And I cried. I mean, I literally cried. I mean, Eugene Berger was a big hero of mine, and I just thought, so yeah, it was a very cool moment.
Yeah, that's great. Now, did you watch the show with Gary Brown where he told a little story about Flosso and the magic wands in his store?
No.
No, you should watch that one.
I love Gary Brown.
Look up that story. See if there's any relationship there. All right, John, I can't thank you enough.
I can't thank you. This was really fun.
It was great fun for us. Now, I can't figure out how to turn your microphone off, so it's going to come through my microphone. But I want you to just hang on for a bit because I want to share this video with you, and I want to chat with you a little bit more after we're finished. So, ladies and gentlemen, a treat for you. This is John Ferrentino at the Magic Castle.
Here at the Magic Castle, we have some safety requirements. As people are drinking, so you have to use these little scissors. What I need you to do is just cut this cord. I'm kidding. Here, take these. All right, what you're going to do is you're going to cut this electric wire. It's going to be cut.
No.
Oh, I can't believe you did that. How did you get those to cut? And that's the end of the show, thanks to you. Now you're short circuit. Make it a little bit shorter. I want you to realize, just wet your finger. I do it, but I don't want to die. Somebody lie. taters come out a lot of flash, flare, and color, and that's what you wanted. Here it is. Watch. Ooh. Don't be impressed. It's something you couldn't do for $29.95. Oh, geez. Oh, yeah, that you laugh at. If you only knew what this smelled like, I guarantee you wouldn't be laughing. What you do is take your hands like this and make a ball. And I have a bag. This is a little experiment we're going to do in the ESP. I have a bag with some different colored balls in it. I have a pink ball. I have a yellow ball. I have another yellow ball. I have a pink ball. And 2 blue balls. No other balls. I'm going to take one of the blue ones, one of the pink ones, one of the yellow ones. You have the same color in your hand that I have in the bag. Close your hand around, all 3 balls become psychically involved. That was good. I wouldn't have known what to do. All right. Drop them in the bag. I'm going to shake up the bag. You're going to reach side to side, take out 1 ball. Keep your hand closed. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to take out a ball. We're going to see if we get them to match. All right. So just get 1 ball out of there. All right. Concentrate on the color of the ball. All right. Keep your hand out like this. See if it works. Pretty good. All right, let's see if we can do it again. Reach inside, take out another ball. Concentrate. Not that amazing. All right, give me some credit. Really mix them up a bit, so you know. Okay, good. Alright, do me a favor. Look me right in the eye. Don't take another one. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Crazy. Let's do it one more time. Look me right in the eye. Take another one. Again?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was John Ferrentino. Isn't he terrific? And if you wanted to connect with John, here are his websites. He has a website at let's see. I'll read it as the websites are going to come up right over there. It's www.dangerspookystuff.com. He has his waverlyseance.com website. And he mentioned the radio program. He does a radio program every week at bestatscradio.com. I said every week. I mean, it's every day. It's every day. Wow. I just do this one show a week, and it's a ton of work. So that is that's pretty much our show. But we have 2 things that we have to finish up, and first is the fact or fake news. India's street magic once captivated the world, including Houdini, years before becoming the famous escapologist that he was. Houdini entertained visitors at the Chicago World's Fair, made himself up to look like a Hindu faker. Is that fact or fake news?
First of all, it's a fact. Okay, nobody knows more about facts than I do, believe me, and that's a fact. It's a fact.
That wonderful impression was done by John Santo, who does a slew of imitations for us. John Santo did that. Now, did we have any contest winners? Here is, I don't think we did. I'm going to take a look at the, nobody won. Nobody won. I can't believe this. Okay, well, here is the cutie.
Who's the cutie? Who?
Okay, so I gave you the hint. The hint was that I gave you several hints. I said he was a magician. I said he wasn't U.S. I said that he was a man. And okay, I'm going to give one more hint. Anybody who's still watching can take a guess, maybe win the cool trophy. He's French. He's French. Anybody? Quick, quick, quick. You have a moment or two. I will wait only a moment or two. All right, that is it. Time is up. And he is none other than Boris Wilde. And I think you'll agree he's still a cutie, isn't he? So that was Boris Wilde. Nobody wins the cool trophy. I'm so, so sorry. But maybe next week. Maybe next week. Um, no, that was a good guess, Gary, but no. So it let's see. I want to just shout out to Martin Cox for sharing those photos with us. He's a real friend, and next week we'll have another, and maybe you'll win next week. You'll win the cool trophy. So that's the show. I hope you come again and watch us next week. Next week, our guest is Chris Pillsworth. Chris Pillsworth. He's from Canada, and he is a super talent. And with that, I will sign off, say goodbye, and see you next time.